Yo, check out those 4 planes overhead. Fire that shit over my hood and get blown to bits. Mr. Bush, sit down. We're in charge of the wall. Yes, y'all. It's the Conspiracy Horsemen live at twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. Hamin Media Group going strong. It's a huge show for us here tonight. You know where it is. 7:15. We ride out strong with one of the biggest names in 9/11 truth in the community tonight. We pump the gate 10, 12. We're going all the stories all the way to the sky to get some truth here tonight. We've been waiting for this one. Richard Gage joins the Conspiracy Horsemen. Yalla. Yeah, man. 15 minutes away. Hopefully everything goes off without a hitch. The links are sent. And thank you to the Blue-Eyed Bandit himself for going out and grabbing this guest. We had GGP last week in a horrible Janet, and right in the holiday season, as we come around for the third swing together as the Horsemen, 9/11. This it doesn't get much bigger than this, you guys. Stevie, thank you.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Was there any feedback from last week's episode popping on with Deplorable Janet? Did she like coming on the show?
Oh yeah, she did. She had a great time. She said, and I said, okay, now it's our turn to come on your show. She goes, oh, absolutely, let's do this. And all the fans were marking out on Twitter, and hopefully it'll happen.
I mean, we got to keep it together going into November. That's just, I mean, it's kind of the rounds that we got to make, right? To like link arms. Otherwise, everyone's just kind of screaming into their own little microcosm. If we can show some form of unity with the listeners, and they're the ones bringing us together, I think it's a smart way to make the rounds. Sal, you're expanding out. I had a good time hanging out with you on twitch.tv, Horror Junkyard, after the Conspiracy Horse. I'm not sure if you're going live tonight or not, but it was fun watching Chuck get berated by people while he tried to walk through a mansion out at him. So a lot of fun, man, and I'm glad you're doing big things with that right now, dude. So tonight's going to be another real big night. I'm glad we could all be here 4 strong.
Yeah, man. We had a lot of fun, and we always love having you on because it's fun. The first thing out of your mouth in Resident Evil, everybody's like, "Oh shit, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it." Then Ben shows up and goes, "Oh, 10-point buck." Because there's a deer head on the wall, and then he starts talking about the fishing lures that are in the fucking tackle box in the puzzle of Resident Evil. And I'm like, yeah, Ben's in the room.
As like, if you're going for largemouth, you're going to want to use that hula popper there, something jointed, something like a rattle trap. That's if you're going to, I mean, I don't know about zombies, but that's a nice 10-pointer up there with high tines.
Because even Zombaby's like, what is he talking about? We're like, yeah, it's cool. It's
take
fine.
Out of the scariness if you're in the mansion, you're like, oh, that's a fucking nice buck somebody got, right?
That's a 10-pointer, right? 8-pointer, that's what you call it. And we're like, yo, Ben's here.
Yeah, and the 10 points of light from the top of Mount Olympus shines down upon us. The Greek god himself, GGP. Good to see you, my man.
How you doing? How's everyone tonight? I am looking forward to talking to Mr. Gage tonight and getting down to brass tacks about 9/11, and we've been lied to for almost 20 years now, and proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, man. And what's going to be good, I mean, I watched some of his C-SPAN stuff from 2014. Obviously, we've seen other clips throughout everything we've seen from Loose Change and whatnot. To be able to get to maybe another level tonight, because you don't kind of have to preface everything with our audience. They're all pretty smart to it. Maybe we can get a little bit more than the roundabout, but he is an architect. His mind is a little different than the artist's mind we work with, I think, and a little more meticulous. But after 19 years of taking heat, maybe he wants to blow off some steam and get his comeback here a little bit. Hopefully we can afford him that situation. But yeah, man, one cool thing I saw before we got going, I don't know if I shared in the chat or not, T-Rex skeleton gets sold. Supposedly only one of 50 discovered since 1902. In 1987 near Buffalo, South Dakota, 188 bone skeleton took more than 3 years to excavate and reconstruct by paleontologists from the state's Black Hills Geological Research Institute, where it's been exhibited since. Stan, who researchers estimated died around 60 million years ago, aged about 20, has age about 20, has been since used for make dozens of replicas for museums eager to acquire their own T-Rex model. Only about 50 skeletons of one of the largest carnivores to roam the earth have been discovered since the first in 1902. So, you know, no kayfabe dinosaurs here, man. As far as an interesting story.
What do you mean? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ben, but you just read took 3 years to reconstruct. What the fuck does that mean?
No, to get out of the ground. I've actually been to. I remember when I was 15 when we were out in the Black Hills in South Dakota and doing all that stuff. There's actually the tar pits out there where they've built a huge structure around it where, you know, you pay and you come and bring your family, and there's scientists. It could be a work, but I don't think it is. Like legit archaeology students down there with toothbrushes 8 hours a day on their hands and knees, slowly brushing away dust to expose these bones, to expose these woolly mammoths and all that kind of stuff. It takes that amount of time to really extract these bones without damaging them. It has to be done.
So why didn't they say took 3 years to extract from the ground? Why did they say reconstruct?
Did it say
because well let me
I mean, all I'm saying is
excavate and reconstruct. So like X amount of time to do it, and then to set it up from laying in the ground, thinking of, you know, that's it.
We'll accept your apology now.
Why? I'm not saying dinosaurs are not real. I never have.
But that you were implying.
No, I was implying that the wording on the article was weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Why was it weird?
Because Ben forgot to say that it was dug up. You know what I'm saying? He just said 3 years to reconstruct. So it's like, wait a minute, what did he buy? This guy bought a carbon copy of an actual dinosaur. That's why it took 3 years to make the bones with a 3D printer. You know what I'm saying?
Probably, and it all has to be scanned so they can make bone by bone 3D print and then send it out to Chicago, San Francisco, wherever, to those museums. And they're not going to pay the $8 million that this one is supposed to fetch at auction.
$8 million?
$8 million for it, dude. That's what, because Sue, the one in Chicago, where my brother and sister-in-law's wedding was, and performed that right in front of her. That one went for 7.8 million. So they're expecting this one to go to 8 to 8.2 million at auction.
I don't
know. them bones, Stevie. What do you think about that one, man?
Well, I wonder when the Smithsonian is going to hide the next discovery from us. That's all I want to know. The Smithsonian Institution. I was going to say institute, but I'm not quite sure. You know, like that I know that comet that hit and killed the dinosaurs was an outside job.
What institution?
The Smithsonian.
Oh, okay.
Or as Russo would say, it was my wife's new favorite thing. I was listening to Russo this morning on Twitch, and he says it over and over again. We popped on the Raw SmackDown review. He calls them ship shafters or ship shafters.
Oh, that's so amazing.
It's good. He was all into Britney Spears and ship shafting. It was good time.
Oh, that's so great.
You're on a ship.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Russoisms are among the best. I see everybody blowing up the chat with the visits. Garbeck says, J Hell, Mr. Bateman in the house. Justin French.
No.
Yeah, Danny Chaz back in the house. Big Evil Pops. Dirty Turnbuckle. I haven't checked the gifts yet. Hopefully there's a big one out there in Hamin Media Group. Retweets it so we can get some traction going for this mega guest tonight that Stevie got booked for us.
His name is Stevie Richard.
That's it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, ship shafter shirt coming soon, I guess.
How dare you, Dirty Turnbuckle? How dare you?
What did he gotcha?
He put me on freaking Tekashi 6ix9ine's body. I ain't no snitch.
Oh shit. Too funny, man. You gotta fucking
I'm popping, but
so good. The one of me as Vince is scary, bro. Scary. And that one's pretty scary too. There you go.
What app is that? He was using some face swap before, but now it seems like it really is a deep fake.
Yeah, that's a new deep fake thing. What is the app, Dirty Turnbuckle? Give it to us in the chat because they're doing some crazy work. That Vince one had me all freaked out, pal. Yeah, holy shit. Any Dippin' Donuts update? Dippin' Donuts update is this. Thank you very much from the Zordos family, because being under attack as a small business when all you're trying to do is support your community from a small group of people who can do damage when there's thousands who love your product and what you are, they can lose sight of that. And I don't like to unleash the Hamin Media Group on people too much, but you guys killed them with kindness. Got that Meltzer 5-star rating that they ruined. It was like a negative something. I think it's back to 3.5. You left great messages and really raised the spirits of people who are first generation immigrant Americans who built a business from the ground up and still work 16 hours a day and show that Greeks are among the hardest working people on the planet, man. And they're proud of it, and they're community leaders. And it was great of you guys to do that. As Triple D's doing the Star Trek podcast, and people are loving that. Really impressed with the work he's doing there.
Both of them?
What's that? Beam me up.
I said both of them.
Yeah, he's 2 for 2.
I'm saying both of the people that actually listen to the podcast love it.
The debate may be coming, a group debate, Star Trek versus Star Wars, to the Hamin Media Group YouTube channel.
We're gonna throw that on the pay-per-view. We're gonna have to charge for that one.
We're gonna have to charge for that one. I'm down with it, but he wanted me to let you guys know how much he appreciates that. Goldilocks also firing up her fan base, her Patreon base. Those Russo brand hardcores, those Hamin Media Group hardcores, the Stevie Richards Fitness buyers, the Horror Junkyard listeners, the NFO listeners. That's the dedicated core that we have here, and you guys showed out. Like I said, I don't like to unleash the guard on them, but when we got to use our power, we're going to use it the right way. And no, I think we did in that instance. So there's the update on any trolling. We'll see as things unfold and get more and more ridiculous in the next, how many weeks do we got left, guys? 6, 7?
Yeah.
7?
I want to say 7 weeks.
Too many.
Shit. I got.
What happened?
What was that?
I had to take a drink real quick. Oh, shit. Cottonmouth. But everything else going down is the superfluous little shit of the he said, she said, trying to bury Trump, trying to bury Pelosi. And it's
I used to date her in high school.
Yeah, really?
Superfluous, yeah.
Pelosi?
Superfluous.
No, Stevie used to date Pelosi in high school.
I love the dead silence afterwards. It's amazing.
Sorry, I'm not entertaining you guys.
We may talk
They're all pissed off because I ruined their careers because now Braun Strowman's going to bury him, and none of them will.
Yeah, Braun. And Braun, you cost me a friendship with my nurse, my pussycat, my happy birthday, Marilyn Monroe girl, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Braun and I could have been tight, but there we go.
I cost it all, man. So we'll see. That was a weird thing that just happened before I was doing my Stevie Richards Fitness routine. Him selling for one of you guys online, and now I'm caught up in some shit that'll further bury us. So thanks a lot for that, everybody. Keep doing your thing. I'll keep telling the truth, and if they're gonna not be superstars and not take the advice and apply it, then we'll just see where it leads. But that'll be a fun locker room in the morning, Thursday edition, Ultra K classified for your Friday locker room. Stevie and I will be here to break all that down when it goes down, and then hopefully we can sell some T-shirts off it. Who knows?
Yeah, you ruined Scott's life the minute he retweeted it. It was ruined.
That was it.
His 19 followers are all gone now. I hope you're satisfied.
Sorry, guys. And I'm a social media manager. I should know better. What else is going on in the Horseman chat while we're waiting for our guest here, man?
A lot of aliens.
A lot
all over the place.
Jersey.
A lot of aliens. Jersey. People are saying fake news. It's a Goodyear blimp, but then there's also ones of the triangle. And then if you go to Hamin Media Group on Instagram, El Plaza's got a couple up there, real fresh, that are in Utica and Marcy, which are 10 miles away from where I am right now. And I've talked about the, debunked military base that still has a whole air component to it. Here we go, guys. Our guest, I believe, is here. Hello, sir. How are you? Can you hear me?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're excellent. We're glad that you decided to end your career by lowering all your prospects and joining us. So we're glad to be the last stop on the Richard Gage tour of self-destruction. But it's obviously you guys know him. He's American Institute of Architects genius and the founder of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, a pillar in the community of what we study. And our audience all knows you by name, and we've seen you, have this battle, and you've inspired all of us. So we thank you and welcome you to the Conspiracy Horsemen tonight.
Thank you, guys. It's awesome to be here. Now, I got a much better background than this, so watch this.
We're gonna do it. He's gonna put his titles up.
I mean, really.
All right.
We're going more pro than that.
Oh man. Well,
He's ready to come in the locker room. I can tell. He's ready.
he's ready, man. Well, I don't know if your assistant had warned you, but we are 4 professional wrestlers. And
I'll take you on.
that's what I was going to say. I know you're here to talk 9/11 Truth, but also to promote your celebrity boxing appearance against Mike Tyson. I think.
It froze up. You saved your life. The internet is frozen on him.
Did I?
I don't know
Yeah.
about Mike Tyson, but I'll take, let's see, not the big one in the middle, the one on the right, lower right.
Which one?
Lower right. That's you.
Oh,
You guys know that I was a wrestler in high school and I won the north coast of California, the whole upper half of California.
wow.
Yep,
Shooter.
went-
He's a shooter here, right here.
154 pounds of solid muscle.
That's a
Wow,
tough
I was
one.
an AV crew in high school.
I was going to say, wait, 154 pounds is the combined weight of most of the dudes in California.
Yeah, really.
Well, I mean, then you're in the right place because we talk like it's the locker room, man. There's no punches pulled, and we've seen the C-SPAN stuff, and I know you have to preface a lot of things on our audience. They're all caught up and up to speed, so I think we can start at kind of a higher level forward if that's where you want to go. But as we've passed 9/11 and we go into a crazier state headed into November, and it seems like 9/11 Truth is becoming less and less the focus, unfortunately, but is really the basis, the catalyst that opened Pandora's box for the Patriot Act to enact everything to the point of where we are in a completely surveilled world, and everybody in the upside down of their own image of where they should be. So it all relates back from complicity and not holding people accountable, I think, and I'm sure after you've fought it for nearly 20 years on the front lines, you're ready to blow off some steam on some people too. So if you got to, you're welcome to do it here, man. Cut all the shoot promos that you need to tonight.
Sounds like you guys have done your homework. I'm ready for you.
All right. Stevie, why don't you take the floor, man?
Yeah, well, once again, as everybody's probably going to say, thank you so much for joining us. We've been going back and forth a few months here and there, so I appreciate. In the month of September, Richard, it's just got to be tough to book a guest like you because I'm sure everybody wants to. So once again, we thank you. My first question is probably when you apply logic, which you do in the initial documentary and every presentation that you put on Facebook Live, including that C-SPAN appearance too, how do people still, when architects and engineers, structural engineers, I should say, are coming out with facts and logic to go against the narrative, how do people still, after 20 years, react to that with denial?
It depends who they are. If they're the mainstream media, they simply ignore it. They're paid to do just that. They have a narrative that they want to put out, and our work does not fit in to that narrative. They are lying to the American people, as is the government, our elected representatives, the judicial system. So we've got huge problems. I mean, this 9/11 is the tip of the iceberg. At least we can see it. Those who are willing, those who have eyes to see, can see that we've been lied to on a massive scale. And for all intents and purposes, they got away with it because they simply control the media pulpit, right? They don't let us onto that pulpit. So it's alternative media like you guys that are telling the truth to people. And there's so many outlets now just springing up everywhere, not just because of 9/11, of course, but I imagine you guys have been covering COVID-19 pretty good and the lies we've been fed about that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's weird that almost every generation something occurs, something happens, and we find out years later down the line that we've been lied to. First, I mean, just to keep it recent, JFK assassination, then Vietnam and the Gulf and Tonkin incident, 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, COVID, and yet people still take the government at face value. So I don't understand the perception people have of the government. I'm not saying that everyone in the government is bad and evil or Satanist or whatever people want to say, but I like to break things down, and the four of us all together like to break things down logistically on a simple level so even a layman can understand. And when you have 3,000 individuals who are professionals in the fields of architects and engineering, and they come and they tell you A, B, and C, why the narrative that was explained to us makes no valid sense, and that what we've been told to so many years ago is a blatant lie, yet still looked down upon, behooves me, because it actually scares me, because it goes to show me where this world is heading, and it's not a good place by any means of the imagination. We always joke around the movie Idiocracy, how the world's becoming that, but it's becoming more and more true every day, every week, every year as it goes on, so on and so forth. I mean, I was there on 9/11 down on Wall Street working in the Trump Tower. I saw the second plane go in the building. It blew up right in front of my face. Wow. So I was there firsthand, witnessed everything firsthand. I thought I was going to die that day. Scariest day of my life. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, but it's an honor to have you on the show. So thank you for coming on. I want you to let everybody know exactly what you do all the time, which is lay out facts and break everything down logistically and let everybody know how what we were told is a lie. And we can never trust somebody that keeps lying to us, because they can't change their stripes, in my opinion.
He only has an hour. He only has an hour blocked out to tell us that. You know what? I wanted to follow up. It's okay just with another question, Richard. Like, we all talk about the moment. Like, what was the moment that pretty much started us on our path? You being an architect and having this experience, when you saw the buildings fall, was that the moment that woke you up and opened your eyes?
Unfortunately not. I mean, that was September 11th, 2001. I was watching on TV like everybody else, and I just entered this state of shock. You know, we aren't trained in controlled demolition as architects. And the towers looked very different than a typical implosion, which is what Building 7 looked exactly like, the third tower that came down on 9/11. I mean, for those who don't know about it, here's a 47-story skyscraper that 7 hours after the Twin Towers came down, this building, which had a few small scattered fires, after witnesses hear explosions, it drops like a rock as fast as a bowling ball falling out of the sky. Free fall acceleration, smoothly, symmetrically, and under 7 seconds. Now, it looks exactly like the old hotels in Las Vegas that we've all seen on TV. So this is a classic implosion, an obvious controlled demolition that most people can see immediately because they have a frame of reference for it. But I didn't see that on 9/11. What I saw was the Twin Towers, and they were very explosive, hurling 4-ton structural steel sections laterally at 80 miles an hour, landing 600 feet in every direction. But you're showing Building 7 here. Now, the East Penthouse comes down first in an isolated incident here. We don't exactly know why it came down, but then the overall building falls exactly as you're showing there, smoothly, symmetrically, It's actually smooth in the original videos, but over the internet it can appear staggering at times. But now NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, who was tasked by Congress to explain these collapses to the American people, came back 7 years later in their final report and said, this building came down due to normal office fires. What? Normal office fires have never brought down a skyscraper in the entire history of over 100 very hot, large, and longer lasting fires in these buildings. So that's an extraordinary claim, which requires extraordinary evidence for which they have absolutely none. They are caught with their pants down trying to explain the collapse of this building, which they do in an elaborate series of lies, including fires that they say were in this area around this particular column 79 in this area. But the photos and videos show those fires had already moved on. So how could they expand the beams, which was their theory, thermal expansion? How could that have even happened? Well, it couldn't have. But then they go on and on through this series of lies trying to bullshit architects and engineers throughout the country. And most of them didn't even know that a third tower came down. I'm one of 90,000 architects in the American Institute of Architects. We didn't receive one bulletin about the third worst structural failure in modern history. Not one. It wasn't even mentioned. It's a non-issue. And now we come back years later, during the last 14 years, going to conferences for architects and engineers, trying to get people to look at this building, and they do. They look at it on the TV at our evidence booth, and they all go, oh, that's a controlled demolition. Yeah, right. Do you know when that happened? No. Well, that happened on 9/11. When they say, well, wait, that's not one of the Twin Towers. And we go, you're right. That's the third tower that collapsed. They don't know anything about it. And so they weren't told. They weren't educated. NIST completely kept this under wraps for 7 years. When they finally came out with their ludicrous report, which we've challenged in so many ways with requests for correction, which you can do with federal agencies who commit fraud like this. And we have appeals going in now for their denial of our request. And there's the evidence there's witnesses of explosions before the building came down. There's evidence of incendiaries, particularly thermite incendiaries, in the aftermath of all three World Trade Center skyscrapers in the form of extremely hot molten iron, which can't be accounted for by jet fuel or any other part of the official story. We're talking 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures here. We're talking the evidence in the dust throughout lower Manhattan of molten iron microspheres. This is 4 tons of molten iron in the form of spheres. Well, how did they get there? The USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, finds and documents evidence of up to 6% of these dust samples with all of this evidence in it. And the R.J. Lee group studies it also. And they can't even speculate as to where these molten iron microspheres even came from. But it is obviously through chemical analysis the evidence of thermites and incendiary used by the military to cut through steel like a hot knife through butter. And so this is exactly what's seen in here. It's iron oxide and aluminum powder in its unignited form, which is also found throughout the World Trade Center dust in the form of nanothermite chips, which is documented in a 24-page peer-reviewed paper by the Bentham Open Chemical Physics Journal, this team of 8 scientists led by Niels Harrit in Copenhagen. I'm going on and on and on, aren't I?
That's probably
our new sponsor, nanothermite chips.
You're echoing.
Yeah, big time. I'm going to drop out and drop in.
So basically, they're guessing at that, is what you're saying, because they have no actual proof. It's just all hopes, right?
He's being sarcastic.
Yeah. Oh, well, no. Well, here's the thing. Now, obviously, we've never met before. my first thing I did, I started looking you up when they told us that you're coming on. I started looking up some stuff. And the first thing I found was people automatically putting down the shit you said. And that immediately pissed me off because it had nothing to do with your findings. It had nothing to do with, if you want, let's just say theory. Okay. This is Mr. Gage's theory. Okay. Not even that. Every article that I was reading had to put in their own little spin of, it doesn't make sense to us. And to me, that means you're doing something right because everybody has to try to downplay you. So they're all being kind of, hey, just, you know what, just blow this off. Just move on. Just print it because you have to, because if you don't, you're going to cause more shit than it's worth. But at the same time, now they're going to try to bury you. So that means you're doing something that's scaring the shit out of them. And that's what I was like, this is going to be awesome. I was looking forward to that ever since everyone I read, I'm going, and I wrote to these guys, I'm like, I get so fucking mad to see them just burying this dude with opinion. Nothing, all the facts you lay out, and then it's, well, none of his theories have been substantiated. I'm like, he's got science, you assholes. Like, what more substantiation do you need?
The degrees on the wall might help as well. The real question is, how many times have you been in a room with these NIST dudes where you have had to restrain yourself from snatching a single leg, going to a high crotch, and then, putting somebody on the ground,
yoking them out?
Just start piss pummeling them, because that's all these little things, paperwork. I understand that's what needs to be done in the legal battle of legalese that they cover themselves with. But my tag team partners here are much more subdued than I am ready to go with pitchforks and torches to the Bush compound at Bohemian Grove. And it's time to start taking things back, start taking them all back, because these are the masters who profited off the war afterwards, who are dining with bin Ladens, who are in the Carlisle group together. We have the Israeli art students where these boxes were taken pictures of that were tracked back to detonation companies. So we have Mossad, CIA inside stuff, which is the original origin of this deep state taking its mask off for the first time. And if that's true, then Rumsfeld owes everybody here a fat rebate check for $2.3 trillion. Otherwise, he gets his feet tanned every day, pretty much lit on fire, whatever it takes, medieval torture-wise, to get back to Salem, to get these people out of where their comfort zone is, because that's the only way. No paperwork back and forth is going to do that. Only original primal tribal fear, putting it back in their hearts and taking away from their safety zone, is going to get real admission on who's behind this kind of stuff.
Ben, don't forget that also Bush's brother, Marvin Bush, who was the head of Stratosec, the security company that were working the towers months before, when they were doing some kind of elevator
ABC elevator.
Yeah.
They were refurbishing or doing something with the elevators. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, that was Ace Elevator. Ace Elevator had the contract for the 9 months prior to 9/11. They came out of nowhere to get this contract. By the way, Otis Elevator had installed these elevators, but here is the largest elevator renovation in history going on the 9 months prior to 9/11, and they fled the scene after the planes hit the towers. 85 employees. So they should have stayed around to help the first responders. These are experts in how these elevators even run. So it's a real scandal. It was documented in USA Today.
And I'm not sure of the timeline, but what was the prior to 9/11 there was another down in the subway that something had exploded, and that was with the
You're talking about the London bombing, at
the World Trade Center.
Okay.
In 1995, there was a bombing lower in the towers.
Yeah, it was down, and it stopped the subway from coming through, and they didn't know what it was, and there was never an explanation as to what it all came out as.
The original World Trade Center bombing. This is a secondary one, right, that you're talking about.
Well, this was I'm sorry, go ahead.
The FBI. A secondary one after the original one?
93 was the original bombing, the van bombing, where the famous story of the helicopter where the guy flew around and he goes, "We're going to bring that down one day," or something like that.
Yeah. It
was like the urban legend of that.
Yeah, there was a van pulled out front, and it had, again, that was the whole, nobody knew what it was. And I remember when that was going on, I was watching the news, and there was the white van out in front. There was this explosion down in the subway, and they were blaming in the subway for it. and then it turned out it was like the first set of offices, I guess, that's down there. I don't remember, it was that long ago, and but it was a situation of, it seemed to be a little too like kind of a test run.
Yeah.
What can they get in? What can they get out? And then we go back to the art students and the whole other thing later on.
Bruce Willis got the trucks with the gold out of there.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Gold went missing from the Federal Reserve depositories that were across the street. Supposedly, there was a certain amount that was in the deposits in the vaults, and afterwards, they only claimed like a third of that gold that was in there. So 2/3 of it, or whatever the percentage, went missing. They found a truck.
I said it got melted.
Yeah.
It got
melted.
A river of gold. If you can catch the river of gold. Richard, I had a quick question too, because this is one thing, a little more of a statement, but a question as well. I admired one thing about what you did early on, because what you're bringing up here for people in the chat room and listening and watching, this is more advanced from where you started. You were really narrow focused, because people used to bring up demolition in Tower 1 and 2. People used to bring up the things we're bringing up about the gold and the other things, and the things that can spread out the conspiracy theory or even the conspiracy fact. I love the fact that initially, whenever someone asked you something, you would say, I'm focused on Tower 7. That there, I'm 100% sure is not from the fires, and you kept yourself on point with that.
Yeah, it's easy to keep yourself on point with Building 7 because there's no way to argue yourself around it. So we always start with that. It's a smoking gun of 9/11. But the evidence at the Twin Towers is equally staggering, irrefutable. So I look forward to sharing that with your listeners.
So your journey did go and spread out. Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
Do you ever get tired of talking about just the 3 towers and be like, I got Pentagon ideas too, guys. I'm not a tower guy. Like,
no, well, there's some controversy within the 9/11 truth movement about what did or didn't hit it. But we all agree that nothing should have hit the most highly defended building in the world. Nothing. We shouldn't have a terrorist who failed Cessna flying school flying this plane 270 degrees around the Pentagon, dropping 8,000 feet and hitting where? Not Donald Rumsfeld's office, which would be an easy through the roof maneuver, right? But no, hitting the specific area that was naval intelligence, which was looking for the $2.3 trillion that Rumsfeld announced the day before 9/11 was missing from their Pentagon budget. It was a complete setup here, and everybody knows that.
I'm telling you, I know you can catch a double leg on Rumsfeld. If you shoot quick, I'm sure you can get him down to the ground, Richard, right out.
Hard punch on Cheney, all that stuff.
Yeah, they've lost a step. They ain't got the defense.
Cheney's strap. He will shoot you in the face at the drop of a hat. You got to watch yourself.
But here. I mean, look, to the people out there who are listening and watching, again, we try to break things down logistically on a very simple level. The planes hit the buildings. They left an imprint, almost like a Wile E. Coyote imprint, into the building, right? The planes that hit the Pentagon, there was no imprint of a plane into the Pentagon. It was a small circle. There was no debris, no wings, absolutely nothing.
Missing film, right where the impact would be, right from the CCTV.
Exactly. Same thing with Pennsylvania. There were no debris of a plane. So none of this makes any sense whatsoever. And when you bring it up, people are afraid to actually look the truth in the face and realize, man, I was duped. But here's the deal. Yeah. Why don't you enlighten our fans and let them know why all this occurred? What was the big picture from your point of view, from your findings, your studying, your research? Why did this happen in the first place? Why would they work to take down the towers on 9/11 besides going into the Middle East? What other, or if that's the only reason, I don't know. What have you found in your research?
Well, other researchers have gone into this quite extensively. One of them is James Corbett, who says follow the money.
Yep.
And he wrote developed a great video, 9/11 Follow the Trillions. He documented bonds that were due on September 11th that did not become due because they were issued or directed or managed from the Twin Towers, which went down on that day. So this and that, in addition to the gold heist we referenced earlier, is extraordinary evidence of financial crimes on 9/11, and then also the Securities and Exchange Commission on floors 12 and 13 of what? The Building 7. They lost thousands of files related to hundreds of very high-profile cases like Enron and WorldCom that were still being investigated on in 2001, and that investigation was crushed by the results of Building 7's demolition. So that's just the beginning. Now, you can also look and see what happens geopolitically. The Project for a New American Century documents on their website that their goals of these neocons, who then came into power with George Bush in 9/11, were to obtain regional hegemony in the Middle East, space dominance, a vast increase in the Pentagon budget. But they said, absent a catalyzing and catastrophic event like a new Pearl Harbor, these goals will take a long time to research, to come about. So, George Bush writes in his diary, we had our new Pearl Harbor today on September 11th.
Also, let me ask you: do you agree with the Dr. Judy Wood scenario of the
Energy
Directed
weapon.
energy weapon.
energy weapon? That's why the debris was so limited to so much that was in the building, as opposed to seeing all that ton of steel and concrete that should have been there and wasn't, and then them destroying the evidence and, you know, incinerating everything and sending stuff to China. Just, I mean, what's your take on everything?
Well, people need to understand what the evidence shows that we have been showing everybody before we start debunking others' evidence. So let's go through it step by step. The official story tells us that the upper 15 sections, in the case of the North Tower, above the point of jet plane impacts, drives the rest of the building down and then destroys itself. But none of the videos show that, and it violates the laws of physics. You run a Mack truck into a Volkswagen, it's the Volkswagen that gets destroyed. Doesn't matter if you drop the Volkswagen onto the Mack truck. It is lighter, weaker, so it's going to be destroyed. And in fact, that's exactly what we see in all the videos. It's being destroyed. And this is after 156 first responders hear sounds of explosions. They feel explosions like a train running underneath my feet, they say. Yep. This is 156 first responders. Explosions. Now, explosions are not a part of the Judy Wood's directed energy weapons theory. And then we have the lateral ejection of structural steel sections laterally out of the towers at 80 miles an hour, landing 600 feet in every direction. This is all documentable on video. It's very clear. Physicists clock them at 80 miles an hour. There's some incredible explosive force, once again, responsible for that lateral expulsion. Judy Wood says on page 126 of her book that there's no explosions in the Twin Towers. She also says it's a very cold event, and yet we find evidence of molten iron in the flowing like lava, according to the first responders. They say it is incredible. It documented heat at 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit, and yet Judy Wood says this is a cold event. And so the tops of the cars are toasted with what can only be the result of extremely hot iron microspheres, which are 6% of the World Trade Center dust, up to 4 tons, found by the U.S. Geological Survey, found by R.J. Lee, who say these are iron. They're molten. They were molten, so they also achieve temperatures exceeding 2,800 degrees. They're found in all the World Trade Center dust. So they don't know where they came from. So it can only be the byproduct of thermite, that incendiary used by the military to cut through steel. So we have, again, nanothermite in all the World Trade Center dust found by this team of 8 scientists. red on one side, gray on the other, these red-gray chips. They thought they were paint, but they're attracted to a magnet. So there's something really curious about this. They do X-ray energy dispersive spectroscopy. They find in the red layer the ingredients of thermite, iron oxide, and aluminum powder. They get real curious. They zoom in 50,000 times. They find nanoparticles of iron oxide and aluminum powder set in a bed of oxygen, silica, carbon, organic material that produces the increased concussion, expansion of gas in TNT, for instance. So this material is obviously nanothermite. And by the way, when they put it in a heater, a differential scanning calorimeter, it ignites, producing what? Molten iron microspheres. Wow. That's where they came from. Oh my God, it's the only rational hypothesis that makes any sense at all. The official story making none at all, with jet fuel can exceed more than 600 degrees Fahrenheit. And so this is a self-corroborating, repeatable set of experimental data that could put a lot of people away for a long time in this extremely hot event where the tops of the cars are toasted in this very high heat event, which Judy Wood says is a cold event. So she denies the evidence for explosions. She denies the evidence for nanothermite and thermite. And she puts forth a theory that has no support for it whatsoever, which is the dustification of the steel. The steel didn't dustify. It's been spread out over and beyond the boundary of the World Trade Center super complex. She says that the steel is dustified, but there's no evidence of steel dust in the dust by the numerous agencies and individuals that have studied it. And she also says that this steel remaining, these 4 or 8 interior core columns in this particular video after the collapse happened, but for a few seconds the steel remains still vertical, which, by the way, is evidence that there wasn't a pile driver that drove the rest of the building down to the ground and then destroyed itself, because it would have destroyed those few remaining columns. But she says, oh no, they turned to dust. You can see them turning to dust. No, what you see is an explosion which knocks the dust off them. And then frame by frame, you see very carefully the top of that, those steel beams descending down through the dust that was shaken off of them. So that's my quick response to the Judy Wood scam.
I would say that this could all have been avoided if all the buildings were built from passports.
Yeah, I was just going to say that all sounds,
arrived.
How do you explain Muhammad Atta's passport not being destroyed? Obviously, it wasn't burning that hot, was it?
That's what happens when you podcast with somebody for 3 years. You know exactly what they're thinking.
I knew we were waiting to get our shit in on a Muhammad Atta scam.
It's interesting though, because the one thing too that is kind of like the smoking gun, no pun intended, of it all, is you see that clip. I think it was from Loose Change, one of the cuts, when the demolition guy is talking about the building walking. So if it goes here, it will go down on itself in a controlled demolition. The top of which I would forget which tower leaned over 22 degrees and then miraculously went back into the center of the building.
Yeah,
it should have just tipped over, right? If it was really from the impact of the plane.
Well, it happened an hour after the impact of the plane. The building begins to fail through these explosions, which we show and document, which are happening internally. Well, the building begins to tip, and you'd expect it to continue tipping off and fall down below. And as you suggest, it begins to right itself. And what you see is all of these explosions, which corroborate the first responders' eyewitness testimony, 156 of them alone. And then there's dozens of squibs or isolated explosive ejections coming out of the side of the South Tower as it's righting itself, meaning the structure is undergoing explosive demolition even while the block is falling. And that's the only way it can right itself, because it's not two solid objects hitting each other. It's a whole lot of destruction going on in each of those solid objects, which means which means that they don't react off of each other physically. So yeah, that's direct evidence. And then below that, 20 stories, 60 stories down below, you see these additional isolated explosive ejections, which are called squibs in the controlled demolition industry. They are obviously explosions. These are not puffs of air being produced by air pressure. That would blow out all the windows if it blew out any of them, not these highly focalized, pinpoint accurate, violent ejections here.
Quick question, Richard. President Trump, when he was interviewed in 2001 about the scenario that happened that day, he himself said it was brought down by explosions. So him obviously being in office, has that helped you and your fellow engineers and architects move forward even more graceful now that someone who's agreed with you or has agreed with you in the past with your with what you said happened on 9/11?
Piggyback on that, is there any behind the scenes big boy money with him and Silverstein in a battle swinging dick for New York property back and forth that influences all those types of comments?
That sounds like an official reporter question, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's no bias there. Well, I was hopeful, when Trump started talking about explosions in the towers, but of course he hasn't said anything since. And of course he's got his hands full. So we can't depend on him for anything in the 9/11 truth movement. We just got to keep plugging along the way we are and pointing out the fascinating comments by Larry Silverstein, who a year after 9/11 was interviewed by America Rebuilds, a program on PBS. And he's saying, well, there's been such terrible loss of life, referring to Building 7 now. I was talking to the fire commanders, and maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And so they gave the order to pull, and we watched the building come down. And then they show Building 7 coming down. Well, of course, he got a lot of phone calls after this. What the hell did you mean, pull it? You pulled the building? We were told that it came down by normal office fires. Oh, no, I meant pull the firemen out of the building. Well, the firemen weren't in the building, Dick. They were pulled. They were told not to fight the fire. They were told that there was structural damage in the building. So they couldn't get their stories right from day one.
Oh, they couldn't get their
Joe Biden moment, wasn't it? I mean, seriously, like he was like someone who's like off camera going, what the hell is he saying?
Yeah, I know he could shoot a half Nelson on Silverstein anytime he wanted to, so that's not a problem there. That guy's got nothing ready for Gage.
That's an interesting thing, though. Just to quickly, if any one of us, Richard, we bring this up as an analogy. If any one of us were to take out any kind of insurance policy and then want double indemnity for the insurance policy, only to have months later the exact occurrence that we need the insurance for, and then fight in court to try to get it, and also get your original. I think you got the original loan back for $120 million as well. So just the insurance alone, for insurance fraud, we would all be in jail right now until they figure the whole thing out.
Oh yeah. He did very well. He had, like you said, only $125 million of his own money. He leveraged that to $3.2 billion in a deal that went through just 6 weeks prior to 9/11. And yes, he doubled the terrorist insurance on the towers, and of course made out like a bandit. He didn't even have to pay back $3.2 billion.
Well, look, we were just talking about people not getting their stories straight. The play-by-play day of BBC reporter on the rooftop saying Building 7 came down and it's over her shoulder. I mean, that's a red flag right there. How does she know Building 7 came down when it's right behind her? It didn't even come down yet.
Here we're talking about Operation Mockingbird combined with MK Ultra trauma-based, mind control for the people to push, like I said, open Pandora's box and unmask of where they wanted to go with total NSA control. And now they've spun that into these side businesses where they funnel every bit of information, and guys who have left the military or left into the private sector have now weaponized that. It's going to be used in the next election. That's what we talked with Shadowgate, all this stuff. This was the precursor to that, to allow that stuff to happen, man.
But for those who don't know what we're talking about the BBC, who announced the collapse of Building 7 20 minutes before it ever happened. This is extraordinary reporting. They even give us the reason. Due to structural weakening when the Twin Tower. How does that happen? They apologize for this grievous error, citing the confusing events of the day. Does that make them psychic? What's going on here?
Well,
What about-
wait? Isn't Britain
You
ahead
can
of us
get
in time, or are they
the lotto
behind us?
numbers
I'm not
20
sure the
minutes
time
earlier
zone.
there. If you go and can get back to get the lottery, you can be a winner every night.
It's a weird time zone change. That's
what
why
about
it
the guy
counts.
on the street that's known
Harley
as
Davidson
the
hat.
Harley Davidson hat guy, who is obviously a CIA operative? When they ask him on the street, this guy gives a full-fledged explanation like he read it out of Britannica or World Book Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Who actually
Yeah,
talks like that? It was the
he's-
most obscure thing I've ever seen.
He's the first guy on camera.
Yeah.
And he says, wearing the Fox News hat, mostly due to structural failure because the fire was just too intense. Yeah, it's this bozo giving the answers that structural engineers have been arguing about since then.
Have you ever?
That's like Sandy Hook dad level phony, right? Like, dude's out there smiling and then he's crying 2 seconds later in character, or them, doing hurricanes like it's the worst thing. And the reality is they're on the roof and there's a spray bottle or something going down. They've been exposed so many times, from Syria with the white hats too. The whole thing is a bigger Operation Mockingbird. And even Conan O'Brien shows this, where he does your local news talking heads, communication majors, just regurgitating whatever. And then after all this, because we didn't go to Bohemian Grove, or we still haven't, to the Bush compound, we get Obama, a complete CIA kids operative, as a president, to be put in that way to make it look like the pendulum swings back. But nothing has changed, man. And unfortunately, you got to be at year 19. Where's your head at, man? Like, you can only, it's just got to, coming up on the 20-year anniversary and having to play the paperwork game and all that kind of stuff. You've put so much time and effort into this, your life's work, what you maybe were called to do, as some of my tag team partners here might attest. How are you holding up?
I'm for some reason I'm born to kind of give this information out again and again and again. I've done 700 presentations in 24 or more countries, and 100 American cities, groups from 100 to 4,000, and I really enjoy it. I don't like being called names. You talked about that earlier. That's no fun. But some of it's amusing. I let most of it roll off my back. So we have what else? We have all these efforts, these legal efforts. It's very tedious to figure out. It takes a whole team of us, and we have 2,000 sustaining supporters, and I invite everybody to join us as a family of AE 9/11 Truth sustaining supporters for a cup of coffee a month, right? That can keep us going when you have a couple of thousand.
Sure.
And yes, we have 6 employees, and yes, we have legal initiatives. We have packaged our evidence in 60 exhibits to the Attorney General in Manhattan, and we have now sued him to show us that he has given it to a special grand jury. We've sued the FBI, who was supposed to include our evidence when they gave it to Congress in 2015, all of the evidence they've collected since the 9/11 Commission report, but they haven't done that, so they got sued. And we're now raising $100,000 for the 9/11 families in the UK to get a new inquest into their family member's death. And so we have hired the most expensive barrister in London, and who's actually won many cases. Extraordinary man, Nick Stanage of Doughty Street Chambers. So we're going to win that case as well, and there'll be a new inquest into his brother's death, Matt Campbell's brother Jeff in this case, and we'll get the other family members rolled into that. So lots of things are going to be happening in 2020. So we're not giving up.
Well, is one thing that you ever thought about doing is hooking up with 4 wrestlers that tend to be a little impulsive at times? That could
No.
change the entire complexion of your movement.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I have a quick question for you. Have in your struggle now, you've gone through and you've kind of been doing this. Has anybody ever come to you and been like, knock it off? Like anybody ever get in your face behind you, give you a call at night, be like, stop?
No, I mean, if they did, or they said, we're gonna take you out. At least I'd feel like I was on the right path a little more. Maybe it's kind of disappointing. I haven't even gotten any. There's no money or nothing coming our way. I mean,
you're waiting to sell out like us. Yeah, we'll change our tune for the right price. Well, yeah, no, dude. Nah, bro, everything. I know we're waiting for that payout too. We're right there with you, Gage.
Yeah, where is it? I mean, Antifa gets it. Well, why don't we get some?
They're like, they're working for free. We need them. They're doing exactly what we want them to.
Well, Richard, let me ask you a quick
You
question.
should change it to architects and engineers for masks and social distancing. How's that?
There we go. Yeah.
Go ahead, pop it up.
The black boxes, allegedly they were not found. Then there was evidence, or allegedly there was videos. And I recall maybe seeing something on YouTube before it all got scrubbed, where black SUVs showed up, took the boxes and left. In your obviously in the last 19 years, have you found any evidence of these black boxes from the planes that were discovered and now being hidden?
Well, there's a gentleman who took the FBI around the site with a homing device on an ATV, and he said they found both boxes.
Oh,
and they collected them, and that's in a book. And if you just Google FBI found black boxes, they're orange colored actually. This guy's as a witness is in that book. I don't remember the name of that book.
Was this the guy that was on the Jesse Ventura episode of the Conspiracy Theory, where he said one of the black boxes said that they were already in the cockpit before the plane took off? That was a scene in a diner where he met this guy who was the guy who actually found two of the three black boxes. I don't know if that's all hyperbole or just for TV, but this was one of the episodes of Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, I remember that. I just don't remember if it was the same guy who took them around on the ATV or not.
Just
be
careful. That's all.
Do you have anybody? No. I was going to say, is there anybody in Washington who's on your side? We don't need to know names, obviously, because it might affect the master plan of everything. But I mean, there has to be people. I mean, there has to be some good people in Washington who are willing to help you achieve the truth. I mean, because this is ridiculous. It's different if it's some guy in a basement with a tinfoil hat making theories. And when you have 3,000 individuals who are professionals with years of experience, both in engineering and in architecture, and they're obviously telling you that they have evidence that the narrative that's being told to us is a blatant lie. To me, that's an automatically slap in the face and a disrespect to the families of everyone affected from 9/11, both the first responders' families who had to watch their significant others deteriorate over the years, and obviously the families who's lost somebody the day of. So is there anyone who's on our side that I don't need to know names, I don't want to know names, but give me some hope, because rebellions were built on hope, and hopefully there's some hope where we can obviously bring this to the light.
Well, for the last 14 years, we've been going to Washington almost every year, talking, having meetings. We've had dozens and dozens, probably hundreds by now, of meetings, and most of them are with staffers. The staffers typically are blown away by the information we present to them, and you can't get a meeting with the representatives very often. We've done that about 6 times, but we've had, like, Steve King was a Republican. He was very interested, but he was under attack for racist comments that he had made. So he wouldn't take up our cause. Neither would Jim Himes of Connecticut, who actually wrote NIST and said, "Hey, what about all this nanothermite?" after we presented it to him in his office. And they wrote back and say, "Oh, Jim, go back to sleep. There's steel, rust on the steel, and there's aluminum in the building, and they mixed." And it just confused these poor souls. These nanothermite, nano experts who are doing all this analysis. Anyway, it goes like that. Unfortunately, we can't cite. Well, there is one candidate running for office in Florida. Anybody there in Florida near President Trump? Her name is Becca. I'm sure that stands for Rebecca. Anyway, she has a radio program called Red State Radio, or that's the platform she's on. And I have a meeting with her Friday. So anyway, she's running for office, so we can support her because I said, well, if you have me on your radio program, how's that going to affect your elections? Because a lot of people, this is a third rail topic. It's not going to help you win an election.
No, you're absolutely right. People don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, and it's sad because again, we have evidence, and it's not one smoking gun, or it's not one little guy in his basement wearing a tinfoil hat connecting strings on probability, things that are not there, and just hypothesis and theories. It's stone cold facts that are looking us right in the face, and we're able to prove. And it's more than one, and there's more than one individual just in your cause alone who brings this to the limelight, and everyone's like, nah, not true. Nah, stay in your lane, Shug.
Who is our Elliot Ness, Atticus Finch, where are our champions aside from you who are ready to start taking it to the Illuminati that are doing this type of stuff? Where there was a meeting someplace where someone went, hey, would you get rid of 3,000 people for $2.3 trillion? Would you do it? Would you be willing, some bar bet between these psychopaths that was agreed upon in a Carlyle Group-esque way?
Trading places for like $1. They bet $1.
Yeah, bet $1 on these lives. Like, where are we in actually having somebody to pursue them and bring them into a justice situation?
Well, I talked to her. Her name is Reba. She's running against Marco Rubio in Florida and for the Senate. And I hope she wins because she will take our story. She's fearless. She's not kowtowing to these powers that be, even if she has to do a third party. So anyway, I have a lot of hope when I meet people like that.
Her name is Reba Sherrill, Sherrill.
Okay, thanks.
So what's next?
It's crazy 20 years in that we even it's still not the main thing because we can't heal anything that's going on now until we go back and look in the mirror of the bullshit lie that we bite on, because everything's predicated off of that in the last 20 years to be able to push the line of taking civil liberties away from people further and further and further, because they know that they were shocked and awed that day, and if they can swallow that, they can get them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? What's our next step to helping you and getting the truth out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got a link to our website, which has a lot of evidence on it. That's AE911truth.org. We need to get it out to everybody, every architect and engineer, and everybody else that you can find, colleagues, family members, even VIPs, elected representatives. We have a whole campaign going on that where if you will make an appointment with your elected representatives, we will go and give the information about the collapse of these towers, because we want the truth to get out there. And so we also have so that's the appointment. We also have on YouTube our documentary 9/11 Explosive Evidence, Experts Speak Out, where we have 40 high-rise architects, structural engineers, metallurgists, chemists, physicists, controlled demolition experts all laying out this evidence. That's on YouTube. You're showing our website there, and we on the previous page you went to was a Justice Rising conference, which is where we had 12 speakers come from all different places, including, you guys will know these guys, David Ray Griffin. If you want to scroll down, That's the scroll down to the schedule. David Ray Griffin, Stephen Jones, Niels Harrit, pioneers in the 9/11 Truth Movement, all historic opportunity to bring them back. View the video archive. You can just click on that. And these guys haven't been on one platform together for 10 years or so. So this was an amazing opportunity. We also had Matt Campbell, who lost his brother Jeff, I mentioned. He told his story. So you can watch all of this for free on our website right now. And it is there's some great material, including the evidence for Building 7 provided by Roland Angle of Project Due Diligence, which we now have 40 volunteers who are spreading out across the country, giving the evidence for Building 7 and the finite element analysis computer modeling study that was done by the University of Alaska over the last 4 years. They finally came out with their conclusion that fire could not have brought this building down. This is an extraordinary study that thousands of our supporters financed. And here we have a conclusion that in order for this building to come down, as we saw it in the videos just now, that all the columns in the building had to have been removed virtually at once. Now, does fires do that? No. Controlled demolition does that. So, we're armed to the teeth. We're looking for an audience. In fact, we've sent 75,000 postcards to structural engineers all across the country. We're sending the 135-page report and the NIST request for correction along with it to 400 structural engineering associations, high-level structural engineers, academic institutions who give civil engineering degrees. So, we're doing our part, and you guys can help us do all of that. Your viewers can.
Oh, man, I mean, go to the website, you guys. That's the best way to get advocacy done at this point, because in the face of anything else, this is the thing we can't forget about. The website's ae911truth.org. So much information in the evidence wise and what's going on with all the fronts of what you have to do to even try and get any real information as history gets rewritten in real time, and eventually, like some comedian said, it'll just be a day for barbecues eventually down the road. But we got to hold them mea culpa at some point and get rid of the 1,000 masters that are behind this stuff. Is there anybody we should be looking at? Ace Elevator? How in wrestling, there's always stooges in the locker room. How have we not bought somebody off who is, has got the inside info or is disgruntled and said, enough's enough. I'm doing my Project Veritas stooge. I was the guy who turned the key on the controlled demolitions that day. Or are all those people already done in a SEAL Team 6, we killed bin Laden scenario, so they can't come back to haunt them again?
You have done your homework.
Yeah, Richard's in the more than people realize. We see the little Easter eggs there and the reaction.
Yeah. I've done my homework too, but my mouth only goes where my credibility goes, and that's not very far.
Sure.
It's with these 3 buildings, and so that's the domino that will knock over all of these others, I think. You mentioned COVID, you mentioned Sandy Hook, you mentioned the 9/7 bombing in London. I mean, these false flag operations are endless. And 9/11's the granddaddy of them all, and maybe only superseded now by COVID. We'll see.
Prison to be able to enact a prison planet of what they wanted to do, and with just mind control of fear of a boogeyman that's not even and then to use your media platform to do inflated numbers and all this little exercise to push with inside of whatever they're doing. It's unbelievable how far that they've been able to mind control people, man.
Yeah. The perfect example of that was, I don't know if this is why you came on, but when I did my beach picture, when I wrote Google WTC7 in the sand, and 95% of the people walked by and asked, what about Building 7? That was a telling thing. But I said, I tried everything. I emailed this guy on LinkedIn. I emailed him on Facebook. Let me just send a shirtless picture on the beach and write this in the sand and see if it works. And 1 week later, here we are. He hasn't even seen it yet. Billy Ray, our buddy Billy Ray, who got us together, actually laughed at that. Yeah. I didn't know if he shared that with you.
Yeah, and I don't remember that, but
I can beat. That's where he said I can beat this guy up if I want to show it. I know who this is.
He's quite the character. I like
yeah.
it.
Yeah, Billy Ray Valentine, a great, obviously, host of the Infinite Fringe, America Unplugged, and here on Hamin Media Group, also a great wrestling pundit as well, man. So we're glad to continue to, make the circle grow, and for you to maybe take an interview that might be a little bit off the cuff from what you're used to and hanging out with us today, man. We're hoping that you could blow off a little steam, because we do know what it's like to be in the trenches and have to have that many people that depend on you and as a figurehead. And it's obviously what you say can get you in trouble, where we have a little bit more get out of jail free with the wrestling side of it. So we thank you.
Yeah, I'll blame it on you.
Yeah, put the heat on us, man. Always, definitely. It was those guys made me do it. But we just want to let you know that you have those supporters and those times that you might be like, shit, how do I toe this line? How do I do it? But we're always watching, and we're always excited when new things come out that help us on the battlefront because of what you're doing, back you up. So stay strong and know that what you're doing really means a lot to people, even if you're not hearing it all the time. We are there keeping an eye on all of that.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
Oh,
thank you for coming, man. You can come back whenever you want.
Yeah,
please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look for an invitation.
Fight Club next time.
Yeah, we'll see him in the wrestling room. Richard Gage, anything else we can send?
I'm ready right now. Let's go.
Baby.
He's on.
Come on.
That's good. The shooter is back. It's Richard Gage, the architect of it all and the engineer of the downfall of these masters that control us. We appreciate you joining the Conspiracy Horsemen here tonight, sir, and all the work you've done.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it so much. We'll see you next time.
Definitely. Stay safe.
You got it, sir.
People were wondering what it was.
He's sexy. Hey, if you got to use it to sell it, that's fine. I've seen some of these.
Or do you think he was old school and he's like, I'll smack the shit out of that long?
That's what it was. He was like, who's fucking hippie in his pod? I'll kill him.
That was the good shit, man. Thank you so much, Billy Ray Valentine. Thank you, Stevie Richards, and thank you, Richard Gage, for making that happen. Well, a very, very important piece for us as we'll look back at this many years from now and be like, all right, we did a little something tonight. We did a little business. So
I learned
good
something tonight, dude. I didn't know they found the black boxes. I thought the black boxes weren't found.
I feel like I remember that, and I remember the four-wheeler footage too, because I was watching around the clock in Chicago at that time.
I'm looking around. I don't see that episode on YouTube right now with the Jesse Ventura thing. This guy, it was a little dramatized or whatever the word is, using a Russo shapeshifting. But that was the whole thing, that the two black boxes were found, and the whole episode was around that. So, and then I don't know if there's a Mandela effect. I remember it happening, but now I don't know if I could ever find the footage of that.
I almost went to Demolition and the Twin Towers Vince McMahon thing on him, but I didn't do it. I was like, I don't want to come back.
Wait till the other guy gets a hold of him.
Yeah. But yeah, man, as much as we thought, and he's got to stay, unfortunately, kind of stay in his lane. He can't talk salaciously. You can see that because of the high profile of what he has to be for this movement.
Oh, he got closer than ever, though. We know he knows.
For sure. Absolutely. He did as much as he could, and he's definitely one of the boys all the way through and through. There's no doubt about that, man. So thank you very much to everybody that way. Other news we were talking about right before he had come on the air, and I'm stooging off that I believe this Air Force base that I live in a missile silo on is still very active, because people are taping multiple days, 4 days in a row, I think, in Utica and Marcy, UFO footage that you can see during the daytime at Hamin Media Group on Instagram. Al Plaja put that together. And I think this Space Force thing, whether they're knockoff ships, why do I always forget his name? Bob Lazar was talking about on Rogan. You know, they're finally starting to unleash these things and not tell the public, like, don't be afraid. These are American test things. But instead of like alien invasion, there's no middle line at all. They're just letting people fucking do the freak out that way. But are they UFOs, an unidentified flying object? Absolutely. Do I think they're from another dimension or from outer space? At one time, but I think now we're flying our own shit over Jersey, doing the test flights over upstate New York, and that's what's going on right now, I believe. But then again, I could be wrong. Anunnaki are here, and Planet X is what? We're supposed to get them the asteroid the day before the election, Sal. What's going on, man? Have you talked to your people in the Nephilim? Tell me what's up.
They have. It's again. I 100% agree with you. It's our stuff. That anything we're seeing is our stuff. It's our attempts. We're reverse engineering what we've come up with to our best of abilities.
Right.
Again, like we talked when we talked about those blue holes and the blue lights Dreamer saw, and then a couple people were seeing them down south. And again, I still feel that's portals, but I feel like we did it using their technology.
Let me just
testing.
I want you to keep going. So here I am saying, I think it's local through the MV airframe plant that they have some Space Force money in their test stuff. Or also, I believe that this is still a very live base and that there are nuclear missile silos that are active at the drop of a hat here still. And we've heard about aliens being over them and active sites to shut things down. Just wanted to play the other 10%, 90-10 of that coin before you go ahead anymore. Go for it.
Oh, no, like that's, again, we've been, I can't remember the place in the UK that got shut down. It was the British missile site, and that got just completely shut down.
It happened in Canada too, as well.
So again, I feel like we are farting around with our own version of reverse engineered shit that we got from whatever means. I don't care the means. I'm not really. It's not how we got it. It's the fact that we have it. Reverse engineering. We have worked on. Okay, so now we have this. We have this. We have A, B, C. We have all these things, and now they're kind of going, shit, didn't think they were going to get this far. All right, well, let's go back and shut it down a little bit. So every now and then I feel like we get an advance, and then we're kind of pushed back due to malfunctions, due to other things, just because getting a little too big for our britches. And I guess however you want to put that, but the stuff that we are seeing, the stuff that all the witnesses are seeing is our invention. It's the stuff we have created from their technology.
Right. We've been able to reverse engineer it. We've got it. We made Space Force into a viable thing. And here's step one to start getting people used to the fact that you're just going to see planes taking off and then going up into space or land in that kind of way. And they need to look like alien, be made from alien technology, because that's the way we got to punch it through the Van Allen belts. Stevie?
Do you think that's another step to why they did the shutdowns? Because they had some really big tests to do during these months? Like now it's just kind of like, okay, we're doing, but there was some movement, some trucks moving some stuff, doing some things like that. I mean, I'm saying it could be 3, 4, 5-fold of reasons to say, okay, we can shut down, hide Biden, do this, push the new Patriot Act stuff, get a little bit of control, and then we can do some logistics stuff and move stuff back and forth.
But that would mean everybody would be on the same page, which they're not. That would mean all of the branches would have to be in concert, and they're completely not.
Well, I'm just saying, getting people off the streets, getting people off the highways, not looking at the sky, keeping them inside. Once again, Planet X comes and passes and goes into another solar system.
GGP, did you like that the ones in Jersey looked like a Star Destroyer a little bit too much? Like they absolutely, there's the one that people are saying is a Goodyear blimp, but then there's the other ones that are absolutely the triangle Star Destroyer shape. Maybe not as big, but it looked like, and not the classic triangle with just the lights. Like it had the
point and everything. It looked like
a Fuji football come to life. Dude, I mean, look, the Pentagon, the Navy, they've done disclose that there are unidentified flying objects not made from this world, present. So if they come out and say it, you know, then obviously it's there. I mean, it has to be, right? But
so is this you're going with this is first contact? Like we're here.
I don't know if it's first contact. It is the origins derived from there.
Very close publicly. Are you saying? Are you feeling
It could
that?
be, or it could all be part of Project Bluebeam, where little by little they're dropping seeds, they're dropping hints. Hey, we saw a UFO last week. We saw a UFO 6 months from now. We saw a UFO 3 years ago. We saw this. We saw that. Oh, the government came out and said the AB3, and then boom, it happens. Or it could be like in the 50s. Sorry, so let me just get this out real quick. In the 50s, we blew up nuclear weapons. They showed up, right? Now people are protesting against Dippin' Donuts. They show up. Boom. Same difference. You know what I'm saying? Nothing.
The thing I'm thinking is it could also just be we see him on the news, we see it on the internet, and we get no explanation. So now when people do see them, they go, "Oh, let's get a picture." Oh, who cares? Nobody's going to do anything. Even if you put it on TV, who cares? Nobody's going to pay you for it. Who cares? Nobody's going to talk about it. Who cares? We're never going to know what it is.
Well, same thing with 9/11.
You're a culture vulture. You're a pussy-o. You fucking owe me a fucking apology, bruv. That's what you need to do, bruv.
You got another message?
No, well, I did the other day, but I was just letting Sal know that.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm like. Just blow it off, make it nothing, and they can do whatever they want.
Appeared to be about 4 to 6 foot in diameter, and I watched it for a couple of minutes. I heard no sound. I could see the object floating almost as if it was in water. It would rise up and down just slightly and sway back and forth a little bit, and it had what appeared to be something coming down from the bottom. I thought perhaps it was a balloon, and then the more I looked at it, the more I could see faintly some windows or a stripe going around the center of it.
That's pretty clear, bro. Look at that. You can even see the protrusion.
I decided, well, it hadn't gone away.
Looks like a new age version of Sputnik, you know?
I grabbed my camera.
Oh, Lord.
A Nikon, came out, set it up on a tripod, and started taking.
He has a Nikon.
I wish one of us had a Nikon.
And slightly over my neighbor's house as well.
So let's go to this.
I don't think that doesn't even look like it. It looks like a retro UFO.
Yes. What was that movie? Flight of the Navigator?
Flight of the Navigator. It looks like, yeah.
Right.
So this is Utica. This is 10 miles from me. There's me. There's Marcy, which is in between Utica. That's 6 miles away.
If you look.
Shut that rap stuff off.
Yeah, that song kills it.
See, but like, here's my thing, man. The big ball, the retro ball, it was oxidized. The whole thing was oxidized.
Yeah, well, when you go through the Van Allen belt, you get oxidation on you, and especially if there's 9/11 residue in the air with nanothermite, it's going to mix with the iron in the chemtrails, and you're going to get oxidation.
Allegedly.
Didn't you learn anything?
Duh.
Didn't you learn anything?
But here's my thing. Alien shit doesn't rust.
I guarantee you there's some viewer or some fucking guy in the chat room going, yeah, Ben's right. He's fucking right.
Come on, Sal, you fucking dick. Aren't you listening to anything that guy said?
He's a mark for Braun Strowman. He just thinks he's over. Oh, shit. Yeah, man. Good workout, Plaza. And, you know, I haven't really seen an update on Secure Team 10 or Tyler or anything with this, man. They obviously took down the head of MUFON with the child porn thing. If he was getting close, that was an easy, quick smear campaign. Or maybe as a kid did learn he went down. I don't know. We haven't really gone into that too much. But, dude, if we are that much closer, GGP's right. And they're about to land, you know, in Hacker's backyard here pretty quick.
I guarantee you if Trump wins in November, December, they're landing. I guarantee you.
All right, that'll shut down some civil war if the aliens get here. That's for sure, man. But yeah, I think we give him plenty of show tonight. Obviously, with mega guest Richard Gage. Anybody else got anything they want to get off their chest before we start to wrap it up here? No, I'm sorry I ruined your guys' lives again. I just wanted to apologize to all three of you.
Well, you ruined Richard Gage's life again. Architects, the news break, architects and engineers.
You think he's going? You think he's going back to his fucking to his assistant, going, "They didn't fucking follow the freaking bullet points. What the fuck was that? You're fired."
They got me there. I called Silverstein a fucking dick. Are you kidding me? That's gonna be the headline tomorrow.
I threatened some hippie Jesus looking motherfucker because
I'm the only one that's gonna. I'm the only thing that's gonna stick. Like, just that I had a face that just he wanted to punch.
That he wanted to punch.
Might have been
right
you.
in the
We were
fucking
both
face.
on the right, popping on. It could have been.
You were on the lower right.
That's why I went me. Like,
No,
I was
no,
about to
no,
give it.
both on the right.
He said lower right.
He picked out as he's like, I'll take that motherfucker for first day around here.
I think he just wanted a piece of Stevie. He just wanted to punch him in the fucking face.
Yeah, right. What do you
He's
say?
like-
154 pounds? I was like, that's me in 7th grade. What are you talking about?
That was him too. But that was good, man. I'm glad he got a little time to maybe have some more fun than he usually has to, give him the old static numbers and the architect, and that gets to show a little more personality than other shows might afford him. But follow everything he's got going on, you guys. If you want to do the 9/11 movement, there's no better time, obviously, than in September. If you got anything that you want to do memorial-wise, that's a guy who's fighting the fight and won't give up. You know, his name will be written in the history books or written out of it, unfortunately, but will always remain a name in the underground of the truth movement. That's like, there's our proof. You want to call us conspiracy fucking theorists and assholes and emotional? There's the guys with the numbers. There's the guys with the knowledge. Undisputable. Now what do you got? Well, then they back off and go do the next shady thing. So without people like that, we'd be fucked, man.
Can I ask you a question, Ben?
Yeah, sure.
What do you think will occur first? The A&E 9/11 guys getting their retribution and having the truth come out, or them finding something in Oak Island?
Ooh, damn.
This is a tough call. I think Oak Island probably, because they're just going to 9/11 is too much of a bruise for people to touch, and they just won't ever get to the bushes to do what needs to be done to break them down, to get to the rest of the Carlisle group, to get to Halliburton, to get to all those dudes that made millions upon millions, that now control the heroin trade, that control the lithium trade, that ruined the Saudi oil market. All this is spun out of that, and the ability for them to pull the wool over all of our eyes has allowed them to do it in a micro way, whether it's banning guns through more MK Ultra of Sandy Hook and Parkland and whatever other way they want to spin these things. This just emboldened them to be able to do it on so many different scales, man. And I'm glad for this show, but I think, to be honest with you, maybe it's because wrestling has kicked the shit out of me. I don't think there's much hope for Raw, and I don't think there's much hope for 9/11 Truth, because unless we do something in the next year coming up on a 20-year anniversary, there might be a little spark, but it's going to be tough to get it to catch fire to really bring about those who need to go down for it. Rumsfeld, Cheney, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice being complicit. I'd start with Condoleezza Rice, because they marched her out there to say so many things that were bullshit that you could get her, squeeze her, and she would be the one to turn on them.
Is there a statute of limitations regarding this stuff?
Yeah, that's the other part too, right? That how much time do these old codgers got left on it? But they still were marching out Bush at the fucking Super Bowl to get their Illuminati shit in when they needed to. So they still think they're safe. The problem is we don't have Where the fuck is our mercenaries? Where's our true soldiers who we're going to defend this country at any cost against, domestic or foreign enemies? Because those are the ones who are true enemies. I don't care if they were presidents, brothers of presidents, Biden's kid doing the shit with his Cambridge Analytica cronies to bring down the Ukraine. Like, dude, they all got to go down. And there's only 1,000 of them. It's not that hard.
They're all working security for them for very lucrative amounts of scotol. So if you guys want us to work security for the Bushes, just hire us. We'll do it.
That's it. I'll shut up. We'll close it down. 10 million each, you guys. 40 million. You get off easy. And we did tonight too, because all you got to do is let a guest like that go with it. GGP shine tonight again as well. He's right on the money trail as always. And if you see a building on fire, don't leave, because you never know when gold might melt and be coming out of that building. You can get melted gold, and you never know what it might be your lucky day. Stevie, you getting your passport renewed?
Yeah, I am.
Why, you going to New Japan without me, you prick?
What I propose is it can be done. I think we're in a position to really make it happen. And my team and your team are already working closely together to light up the path forward here. I believe this every fiber of my being.
This is my favorite part coming up.
What I propose is it can be done.
Oh, that's the.
I think he's got some good points there. My favorite thing was get a shotgun and go on your front porch. That's what I'm sticking to, and that's what I'm about.
So do you guys think this 4-hour debate hosted by Joe Rogan is going to go down? Do you think this fucking babbling old, senile, delusional Joe Biden is going to last 4 minutes, yet alone 4 hours, verbally with fucking
they all have to be smoke weed in order to do it as well. That's what I was like. Is that a part of it? They have to.
Dude, I swear to God, I think there's going to be a huge flip, because they've already done the Freudian slip with the Harris Biden administration. I think this is going to be a Harris Clinton ticket. I think Hillary Clinton's going to sneak right back in. Now you got 2 women, one minority woman, another woman that's just a lizard woman, but you're going to have to, and Trump won't care, but then again, the media will jump all over that, because it's a trap for him if they do it that way.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It will be, though. He don't give a fuck. I mean, all he has to do is just triple down and call them both out. But that's where they're going with that.
Well, what do we have? 6 weeks till the election? Whatever. 5 weeks? What is it?
I don't think. No, they said it's going to be an election week because of the mail-in voting. If it's allowed to go, this is going to be dragged out.
Check out Facebook's flagging that UFO over Jersey story as false information.
Of course they are. They're in bed with Snopes. That's why.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, look, man, the problem is this. According to the Constitution, if we don't have a winner within 24 hours after the election, Pelosi steps up as interim president.
Well, no, that's not true. By January.
Oh, is it by January?
The Bush thing was.
You're right. By January 21st. My mistake. By January 21st. You're right. By the new term. Can you picture that dingbat as president of the United States?
I can't imagine that asshole in charge of the remote control at her house.
Dude, I see the numbers, 76% it says on Drudge and whatnot. Do you remember what it was like at this time exactly 4 years ago, numbers-wise, what they were saying?
Yeah, same exact thing, that he was going to lose and get smashed.
90% fucking Hillary, da-da-da-da. Look at how short the window of retardation is that they will repeat the same mistakes over and over again.
Listen, only time's going to tell, but at the end of the day, I don't care who it is. We're still fucked. Because and
that's kind of why it goes back to your question to me. We're that fucked that as far as we keep going away, COVID, all that, the farther we go away from 9/11 truth, which is the root of all that we need to address in order to ever propel ourselves as a society forward that we need to be.
Well,
we're not going to get that done. We're going in a complete Orwellian 1984 where the Y in the road we could go back and then go down that path if we want to. We're not. We're going farther and farther and farther away from it.
Well, put it this way, fucking what's his name? Steel Tits Cuomo, right? He fucking wanted to ban the ceremony of light for 9/11 because of fucking COVID. What you think? Beams of light are going to attract the disease?
Well,
Like,
that's that. But he Ben's right. He was just as bad as what he said they did because it was the same week as the movie awards or the video awards or whatever.
Right, the
Exactly.
MTV
He
Video
didn't
Awards.
realize that.
And
So
then
you
on
had to
top
back
of
off.
that, well, yeah, but then on top of that, this vote, you can't stand in line, right, to go vote, but you could stand in line and wait outside Trader Joe or Home Depot or Walmart or any shopping center, and that's fine. But you can't go vote. Come on. What is that?
Is that from Easton?
No, that's from Rome. That's Dippin' Donuts.
Oh,
Cookie
there-
That looks like the UFO over there in upstate New York.
That's
Yeah.
oxidized. That's an oxidized.
That looks like
Oxidized.
rubble.
Yeah,
That looks like the
that's-
rubble, I think. Isn't it?
That's yeah. There could
How
be.
come he still hasn't sent me any like half moon things? Is it because he can't get past the protesters to go to the mailbox?
Probably his sister will go out guns blazing, but we'll put the heat on Triple D to send out some sweets to the Horseman because he's too sweet like that, man. And check him out on the Hamin Media Group. And we appreciate everybody tuning in here, twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen, YouTube, Ben Hamin channel. Check out the New Force Order podcast. Huge guest, Hakeem Zain, Rohit Raju. Impact X Division champion, a great friend of the Hamin Media Group platform. And I'm sure he had a good time geeking out with those guys talking some high-level Star Wars stuff, man. Great get, for sure.
Oh, yeah, it's the second time he's been on the show. He loves it. He just wishes he could do more Tuesdays, but with schedule in real life, he can't. So he was able to do it last night. We talked about the Mandalorian trailer. We talked about some news that leaked this week, and we had a good time. You know, we're talking about a galaxy far, far away. Because it's a lot more interesting than Space: The Final Frontier. Just my opinion.
Well, now they've got Keith Lee to promote for them on Raw, so you're going to get many more promos. Beam me up, Stevie.
Papa has no idea what you're talking
I have no
about,
idea.
but he should watch that. That's worth that actually puts it in the Star Wars is better category just from those promos that he does. So I have to give him that. Actually, Steve Richards Fitness, I added some bonuses onto the beginner video, the beginner next. I got to get a new name for it. The beginner video yoga series or yoga video series. I got to figure that out. But if you buy all 3 videos, you actually get 2 new bonuses besides the ones you already get. You get the resistance band chair workout video, which includes a free chair yoga video as well. So a lot of stuff. You basically get like 7, 8 things, if my math is correct, for buying all 3. Other than that, the YouTube channel, I just put up, got a new battle box, Mission 67. Actually got a lot of good stuff in there. You should check it out and get a lot of more survival stuff in there. There's a box here at myapocabox.com. Get this gimmick. This is awesome, Sal and Ben. You would love this. They send you the stuff, but they have like a tutorial attached to it to where you have to build it, like a survival thing, like a trap or
Nice.
a bow drill, other things. It's really cool. So they get, you don't just get to use it. Now you have to learn how to make one. And then we're trying to figure out, we might go to the mountains and actually film the footage of me trying to make this stuff. That'll be probably entertaining in
Awesome.
itself.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So other than that too, I really want to push this. My wife's podcast, the Career Junkie podcast, has had tons of different guests on. We actually just had Greg Miller, the Russo's nephew, interviewed. Sal has been on. Pop it on. You're welcome to be on. Ben, you've been on. So we interviewed Greg. We're like 4 or 5 guests like ahead right now. She's going to have Jeff from Stonehouse Revival on Friday morning. We're going to record that podcast episode. We had a special effects person that works with Luke Hawks in New Orleans and Atlanta. He works on The Walking Dead. So him and his family do all kind of like the special effects for that, like practical.
He works
effects.
for KNB.
KNB.
Yeah.
No, he has his own smalls, FSX or something. There might be multiple ones, but he's going to work on The Walking Dead soon. So check it out. Career Junkie Podcast. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Google, all that stuff. And like
by
Stewie,
Chris, and it was a fun interview. She's a great interviewer.
Yeah.
It's a personality, and time goes by so fast. That's how you know it's a good one, man.
yeah, it's less than an hour, so it's pretty good. And I like Stewie with his novel. I'll have my podcast someday.
Who sounds better on the mics, his wife or Stevie?
No, my wife, 100%. Well, I don't have the pod mic. I say it sounded good earlier. I got to switch up microphones
for tomorrow for the locker room. But before we go to the locker room tomorrow, we got to do that Stevie Richards fitness tonight and get ready in case Braun Strowman is on my front lawn this morning. I got to go out and kick his ass. So I'm going to lift all the weights while I watch the Horror Junkyard at twitch.tv/Horror Junkyard. Sal, what's he playing tonight? What can we rib on him about?
Tonight, we go back to Resident Evil, the remake. He's going through it. Tonight's going to be a hard one, I think, because we were discussing there's a few puzzles, and I think this is the big shark, the big plant, all kinds of shit going on. He has zero confidence going in that this is going to be entertaining. So we record next week. We're getting ready for what's Hellmaster is the name of the movie with John Saxon. And we are also still every day we are planning for the live show. We're looking at Don't Go in the Basement, which is public domain, and we're gonna take that. Also, Chuck is giving me some ideas that he plans on doing for Halloween. We're going to take Halloween off because I'm just excited about Saw going in. And so what we're doing a Tuesday show for Halloween, and I'll keep reminding us because I have to keep reminding myself. And then the day of Halloween, he's just going to play 24 hours of open license movies.
Awesome.
And just let it go. So that way, if you got
play this one,
is it Wrestlers versus Zombies? I can't read that. I don't have glasses on.
The Velocipaster.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I got to see it. I'll read the description because I want to see this. I might, if we can watch it together, and then people will get mad for our watch along.
They'll hate you. Yeah.
All right. 2019. So this is it's 4 stars, by the way, on IMDb.
Yes, sir.
After losing his parents, a priest travels to China where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur.
Yes.
At first horrified by this new power, a prostitute convinces him to use it to fight crime.
Yes.
And ninjas.
Now, believe it or not, that movie lost out to Tammy and the T-Rex with Denise Richards in her first movie. So we covered Tammy and the T-Rex instead of Velocipaster because we felt like Denise Richards offered a lot.
There's always year 2. I mean, you're coming right.
She went from banging Charlie Sheen to doing movies with T-Rex.
No, this is one of her. Yeah, this is one of her first movies.
Oh, this is old.
Oh, my friend, and Paul Walker in it as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. So
yeah, I think he was just over there on AEW tagging in a tag match. Dino Gimmick was out there, so I got
Walker got hot after that.
You know what I mean. He became a Walker on that show with the zombies. Go ahead, next.
The next thing going down is for you guys. Thank you for everybody at Discord, Hamin Media Discussion Group. All of our pick'em challenges out there getting run, whether it's UFC, the Cage Theory podcast. Big weekend coming up for John Hartnett as he's in the corner of Colby Covington. Blake Troop doing big things out there in California. I know GGP might be headed out to the Wild Wild West as well. So appreciate all that. You never know where we're going to show up, man. As things get kicked off, there's new opportunities. Sally's office, he hasn't stooged that off yet. And we got plenty going on here, man. Twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. Hacker Hamin on your iTunes, Hamin Media Group on there as well. Make sure you add us. Leave that Meltzer 5-star bullshit because it drives it up. So shows like this with Richard Gage can get out to the Nancy Browns. And maybe we can convert a couple more people to the truth, send them down the rabbit holes, and really battle this in the underground because we're the last ones on the forefront of speaking without having an agenda aside from waking up our brothers and sisters. It's the Conspiracy Horsemen, Big Sal, GGP, Stevie Richards, and Bin Hamin. Yalla! This doesn't want to turn off. Good rib.
Still alive, still going strong.
Yeah, it won't turn off.
24-hour stream.
Yeah, here it goes. Maybe not. We'll be back also in the morning, Stevie and I, locker room, wrestling headlines.